just on some intuition. I wasn't there in time. Something told me I should see the signs. I hope you happy now. No time to mourn, I'm on the second line. A parade stretched to many miles, just celebrating times. To be a man, the world will humble you soon. Ain't no riches in my burial tombs, nor is heaven for few. Just want some love like the family I knew. And yet they ask me why I'm always on mute. Shit, I'm stuck in a loop, steady pressured. Eyes water, my life confessions. Peep the message, call me back and don't forget me. I admit this shit is hard to resume, but I'ma keep on spilling my truth. I told Leah and Jordy that I'ma be there, so don't you worry about it. Shit, I know how I feel to have the distant father. Who you call as a child when niggas will beat your mama? What you do when control is never the fucking option? Brace yourself for this single moment just might be left. I took a breath and said fuck it, the afterlife is next. I wonder what is next. I hope you. I hope you. Yeah. I hope you find what you looking for. Shit, I had to meet him at the Rose. Gifted promises ensuring that I make it home. Know your path and don't forget it, my nigga. Before I change the world, I still gotta stare in the mirror. As my review becomes no issue, don't be mistaken, cause the past has made a breakthrough. I hope the sun rains on you when you find your glory. I hope your life is fulfilling, fruitful before the soil. That's word the oil, let it storm before the sunshine. This uprise is heavy lifting. My ghetto children, may you be alright. And to the end, y'all. And to the end, y'all. And to the tomb as I rest like, yeah. I hope you alright. Yeah. Until forever in time. Until forever in time. Yeah. Yeah. Until forever in time. Yeah. Yeah. I wrote these songs for you. I wrote these songs for you. Yeah, yeah, and I hope you alright, and I hope you alright, yeah, and I hope you alright. May the sun rise on you, may the sun rise on you, yeah, we gon', yeah.
Warning. The Federal Communications Commission has determined the following content to be emotionally harmful. Snowflakes should not view this content under any circumstances, even if supervised by a G.I. Joe, Navy SEALs, Army vet, or someone with good common sense. The views and opinions expressed, including the depictions of persons of color, corrupt politicians, white people with or without a tan, haters, who have yet to brush their teeth typing angrily in the comment section with hot breath syndrome, do not reflect any official policy or position of the U.S. government. This program contains graphic language, dark comedy, unique intelligence, creativity, a high credit score, and high blood pressure when triggered. This program has also been accused of racism, violence, misogyny, mansogyny, feminism, MGTOWism, defacement of celebrities, and of course, being a bully. Welcome to Thought Crimes.
What's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning. This is your girl, Sincere, and I'm here with.
Hey, this is your man, Prince Alwyn, back in the building again. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing very well into your wonderful destinations and your opportunities, and may you be able to achieve your goals to build for your family.
Absolutely. So, we're going to start off this morning talking about some political things, of course, rotors. And also eminent domain, and then also gerrymandering, and so many things to talk about. But we're going to start off with Chud, the builder, who is now caught up with some murder charges. He went out instigating, trying to cause a lot of trouble and mayhem.
Said Chud the blockhead.
And he got exactly what he deserved. So let's play a little clip here for y'all to hear.
Influencer known as ChudTheBuilder is now facing an attempted media influencer known as ChudTheBuilder is now facing an attempted murder charge after a shooting today outside the Montgomery County Courthouse. Deputies say Dalton Etherly, better known as
that's his name too, trying to act hardcore.
Social media as ChudTheBuilder was involved in a fight leading to gunfire. Both men were hospitalized. Deputies just arrested Etherly, charging him with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. Tonight, he's being held in the Montgomery County Jail.
Where he deserves.
Okay, let's get into something real quick, Sin. I actually, because I know I know you have a line of them that you're going to be playing, which you do a great job about. I have a bit of a theory with him. I think they're going to try to use him to run for some sort of political office, though, locally.
Yeah, you had Sneeko, who's an idiot, who said that black people are instigating violence over a word. You also had Jason Whitlock say that lie as well. These are our liars. If you go out and say, I'm going to blow up a building, that would be, for example, a terroristic threat. If you go around saying, if you touch me, I'm going to smack the shit out of you, but you running around saying the N-word, hard ER, you are trying to instigate violence. You are a violent person, and you're looking for trouble. And this is what it happens to come to. A lot of these people feel really courageous right now because you have people like Anna from the Young Turks, a lot of fake progressive that have been cozying up with white extremists that aren't even trying to become reformed. You have Sneeko out there. He tries to hide behind being pro the people of Gaza. But in the Epstein files, it literally said the two people that Zionists hate the most were in the files. We're talking about in the Epstein files were Palestinian people and black people. Clear as day all throughout the files of what they wanted to do to remove the people of Gaza completely, to experiment on black people, to subjugate black people. And the fact that you have people trying to make it seem like these movements are separate, like, okay, the movement of what's going on in Gaza is separate from black people getting reparations and black people being treated with respect, like they're somehow separate. And they're not. Even when he tried to say, like, and that's surprisingly, academics actually made a good point. Academics said to Sneeko, if I said F Allah, is that okay to say since words mean nothing? And then he went on this spiel about over religious and spiritualism, and spirituality is different and God is different. First of all, do you comprehend, idiot, that you had even Netanyahu, Bibi, tried to use religious dogma to say spiritually the Palestinian people do not deserve to be in Gaza. And he used slurs against those innocent people of Gaza. When you say the N-word with the ER, and when you go around harassing black people and using certain terminology that people also use, remember, in religion, when they said black people was cursed by the curse of Ham, and that lie. So you have a lot of religious dogma that attack Muslim people. You have a lot of religious dogma that attack the people of Gaza. You have a lot of religious dogma that attacks black people. And then you have these weirdo hypocrites like Sneeko around that are being pumped up by these dark think tanks on the right and on the left, making the most absurd conversations that you can even think of. And I also will, give Needle Drop credit for some of the things he even said pertaining to Sneeko and all these other people. So it's really bizarre to see how a lot of people right now are trying to act like black people should shut up and get in the back of the line. And it's like, no, we won't do that. So going back to this guy with his stinky beard. Well, actually, it's a stinky mustache.
His mustache.
It's a stink mustache, not a beard.
But I get what you're saying.
You get my point, though.
Yeah, you're right. I just feel they're going to be using him for some sort of political office. I think.
You think he's gonna get away with the murder charges? You think this is all? You think this is a red flag?
I think this is about dark propaganda marketing.
Yeah,
because it's the era of infamous.
You think the whole murder charges is a red flag? A false flag?
We'll see where it goes, but I'm leaning towards it's probably going to be a resume for him to run for office at some point. And Donald Trump is in office, and I'm sure the connects, if they not have already been made, conversations are already taking place and phone calls are already being made too, by the way. So what you're seeing with the redistricting throughout the South, and usually what they're going to be doing is trying to expand this to other parts of the United States. But yes, personality profile programs such as Chud the Blockhead here, usually they swing them somewhere near a politician for clout. And unfortunately, both the left and the right, their thoughts for attention. Because the Democrats via CNN only earlier this year were talking about, hey, should we take back in the South African robber baron?
Elon Musk, yeah.
And I even saw
he's focused on Odyssey.
I even saw some of the political pundits. You're right about that. I even saw some of the political pundits who always go around and tell you all, you don't know what you're talking about. They said, well, he does have a following. He has a social media platform, and there are some things we can negotiate on. We maybe shouldn't make it so much about race and things of that nature.
I think some people are starting to find out that there are Trojan horses in the Free Palestine movement.
Absolutely.
And they make not a lick of sense when the Epstein files and Zionists clearly said they had an issue with Palestinian people and black people. And if you are someone who truly is supposed to be about freeing Palestine, you will not separate it, and you wouldn't. It's one thing to be like, oh, people have a change of heart. Okay, let's open up the tent. Fine, because there's a genocide going on. But it's another thing to literally allow people who are trying to separate what was in the Epstein files and just continue the relationship of white supremacy and Zionism that literally created the state of Israel. It wasn't like, oh, it's just the Jews, like all that nonsense people brought up, whatever. You had the British government that was going to technically put it in the continent of Africa decide to put the state for Jewish people in Israel. And then we have this whole situation, of course, with the Palestinian people being displaced and all this other stuff. But they were also open to doing it to the people of the continent of Africa and West Africa in particular with black people, right? So in the Epstein files, they clearly said they had an issue with these two groups. But you have people like Sneeko and other people who are rising up and having a lot of traffic. Some may say possibly on purpose because they could be plants, just like people are finding out Nick is a plant. But we said that 2-3 years ago that Nick was a plant. And now they're starting to see that, but they're still not moving their asses quick enough. And then with this guy here, this is the reason why you may be right, Prince. This may be a false flag. We'll see. I hope he actually get what he deserves and ends up in prison. But if he doesn't end up in prison, like I said, with these murder charges, attempted murder charges, if they do go away, then there's a strong possibility what you said could come into fruition.
Yeah, because it's like I talked about with, what was his name? Professor Yang, right? Come on, you all. you're everywhere on different platforms that have different algorithms, and I happen to see your face all the time. Fakeness, all right? Plant, 100%. So when you see personality profiles such as Chud, Nick, Professor, I'm not a real professor, and you're continuing, even going back to Spencer, actually, for the duration of what we've been doing, Sin and I, for the most part, have just literally been exposing plants, not just within hip-hop, but we're talking about the social media political zeitgeist, because many of these plants are not necessarily politically astute. What you think Chud exactly can come up with 64 divided by 12, right? Not really.
Well, usually they come through the entertainment door as influencers and streamers. And
a lot of them are groomed in this process.
People who come from PragerU or Daily Wire, those type of things, yeah.
Yeah, so I do feel that Chud is definitely getting his street creds to run for political office somewhere. That's what I believe. Because just in the past week, ladies and gentlemen, Chud has come across my algorithm feed and stuff that I meticulously curate on all of my platforms, along with Sincere Ignorance. There's no way that I should keep seeing that stanky mustache. But I keep seeing it because they want you to see it, because they're marketing him too.
And this is also why it's interesting, because, when we talk about the people who are defending this guy, it even goes back to the Taylor Green thing. Like, you're ignoring, to give, again, Mark his credit from who used to work with CNN. He's over there with the Joe Budden podcast. He's always been about free Palestine, and he suffered a lot with the attempts of the establishment to get rid of him, because he's been consistently that. And you also had it happen to Rashida, which Taylor Green was there to try to create. Actually, not even try. She created a witch hunt against her. And Taylor Green has yet to publicly apologize. And then you have this situation with these Chuds, these Nicks. It's really bizarre. And I think that some people are, again, catching on too late. And by the time they fully actually start making a move to actually just surround media platforms who are serious about these issues, you're going to keep getting these Trojan horses. And again, I don't know if Taylor Green 100% is a Trojan horse yet, even though I still don't trust her. But again, actions speak louder than words. And if you don't go over there and have meetings with the same people that you helped destroy, so the Free Gaza movement can become weaker, then how can you be trusted if you can't even make amends with those people?
Yeah, because you got to pay attention to what's been going on. We've seen the conversation that's been surrounding, of course, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, of course, Louisiana, and more attention with Chud here in Tennessee. They've already been celebrating in Capitol Hill that, look, man, we undoing the voters' right. We pushing y'all Negroes back 60 years. You got him running around here calling black people monkeys and chimps and stuff. Folks, this is all a play.
Children too, yeah. But I also think that Chud may have, and some of these weirdos have weird sexual fetishes for not only black women but for black men and children as well. I think he has
for children.
I think he has a sick fetish for black men. In this particular case, and some of the photos they show of this guy in the past, he's definitely a plant. And some of these, and I'm not saying he's a Peter Thiel plant, because Peter got his own streamers that he's supplanted into social media. But who's ever backing this guy, you definitely could tell that whatever billionaire has put this plant out there, they are definitely into some sick stuff.
Yeah, and also most of these guys are groomed in the process, and they can also be weaponized because they usually are, sexually self-deprecating. Now, whatever your little situations are that you like to enjoy with a grown adult, consenting adult, or adults, that's your business. I'm not in the process of doing a witch hunt like Sin says. But I do find it ironic that a lot of the guys are homoerotic, are into race play, cuck play, particularly by black men and their white women or the white wives or whatever the case is, BBC Play, all of the stuff that you usually find in a Diddy video. But I do find that very fascinating that a lot of times it also would zero in on children as well. So I think in this regard, Chud is another rollout of this particular plan. And this is to promote a philosophy here. So let me tell you one of the things they do with people like Chud and Nick. Okay, where they fall flat at, they've already inspired thousands of children that are watching these people act up on the internet. Because remember, with Chud's situation, he's on stream running around calling black people and black children all of these names, right? And this is why we say hip-hop is weak. Rap music is weak because these guys also were able to come through the back door. And some of these rappers proudly stood next to these guys.
That's the only thing that even like complaining about the complex list to me, although people have their right to talk about whatever the hell they want to talk about, it's kind of like talking around the serious issue. Neon is on the complex list because Hit Boy, I love his production. I actually really like Hit Boy.
Hit Boy does a lot.
He seemed like a nice guy. He responded to us one time on X. He seems like a really nice guy. But he still had Neon in his video. And a lot of rappers have these type of guys in their videos, on their streams. And I think people are trying to preserve relationships because they never call out the rappers. We've been consistent. Like, we've talked about all the rappers who've been, associated with a lot of these streamers. Whether it's Ye with Neon as well. And I'm like, everybody just talks about Neon, but not the Breakfast Club platforming him, not rappers having him around, and I'm not calling for the person to be kicked off of social media. He said he changed his life, yada yada yada, but the whole point is he's being embraced in hip hop culture because even Michael Jackson had some relatives or so a friend of Michael, a friend someone who was friends with Michael Jackson, who welcomed Neon in. He was able to get access to, rare merch and items from Michael Jackson. So whoever's behind Neon, he's definitely rolling heavy.
Well, look, with rap music right now, it's definitely become the biggest football field for the grifters. It really has, So a lot of these guys really don't get any real clout without the rap and game list culture because we don't even really have an overt gaming culture now. That's really what the streaming culture is. It's more focused on the players of the games without any properties. I mean, a lot of gaming companies have been failing. They're trying to resuscitate themselves by incorporating AI so they can do the world building. And I think people always, got all types of memeable jokes about GTA 6, right? Which is perfectly fine. But yes, absolutely. With ChudTheBuilder, it's always to promote a philosophy. That's really what the end game is. I know people get stuck on these guys, the Knicks and the Spencers and the Chuds. There's going to be another one. The Clavs, but it's not simply only about focusing on them as a human being. It's really about pushing the line forward with the ideology so the next Chud can pop up and push the line forward, so the next Clav can push the line forward. And we've already seen the intersectionality with these streamers with this mindset in politics. I mean, we've seen it with Nick. We've seen it with all of the trolling anti-black streamers that at the very least get to stand down with Don Jr., somebody important to the White House. So that's really what this is about, and it's creating the precedence for this crazy social media purge world. Does that make sense to you all? Like, it's like a social media purge world.
Remember, the first Purge, which was the favorite.
It's a classic. We love it.
Series. Remember, it was socially engineered.
It was, yeah, with the Skeletor nigga.
Well, he was organic, but he was a rarity. They call him an anomaly. And so because people weren't getting killed, the majority of people, they went and they created social engineering with these neo-Nazis and KKK members, and they flooded them into the city. They're doing that right now on social media, and Jimmy Dore and all these other people who claim to be so intelligent, they're just sitting there like idiots saying, yeah, if someone uses white nationalists, is a psyop. No, idiot, it's the damn truth. What you mean is a psyop? Unless you are going to say that you have billionaires purposely putting out these deranged white nationalists out here to try to derail the Free Palestine movement, the reparation movement, things like that. But if you're not orchestrating it in that type of way, then you're full of it. Obviously, these people are engineered white supremacists, white nationalists thrown out into the public, and they don't make a lick of sense. Even when you saw Anna and the rest of them bigging up Nick, and Nick was defending a lot of Zionists.
Yeah, it's a joke. And yes, I love the comparison. The first Purge is a classic. It's the best Purge, to be honest with you, right? But realistically, folks, they've let all of these people from the Tate, anybody that you can see is aggravating and they look like, they smell like old bologna. All right. These people are plants to, this is grooming. Okay. Social media, it's grooming people right now. And grooming, a part of grooming, there's like a radical awakening, but under the presenter's charm.
Laura Loomer was behind Nick, yeah.
So, and you're finding out, like, a lot of these plants, the TYT, giant plants, right? If you're looking at a lot of these people, they're all funded. They're all tied to the government somewhere. They've all either been groomed through a system to come out and groom the public. And that's really where we are. With the Chud guy, I've seen his Mario and Luigi blockheaded ass face several times across, but I didn't really look into it. But I also saw how he was moving. Sin and I have been
thirsty.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a minute now. We can recognize when it's a personality program. You know, the old pictures that come up. I'm not saying as humans we don't change as we get older, but one thing you'll notice about personality programs is the drastic change where they were 5 and 6 years ago.
They said that Chud is not even they so far just sneako
right.
slow, but he's out here saying that Chud, this is a freedom of speech violation issue. No, it's not. But to your point, if we see him get away and get off with the murder charges get dismissed, then what you said is true. You have some of the most disgusting, most evil people out right now puppeting a lot of evil soldiers. That's 100% for sure. Also, Prince, do you have anything else to say? Because I want to briefly touch on Blake Lively with The Nerve with Marine. She brought up a journalist on her show, and this was very important because the journalist talked about how she was subpoenaed through Gmail and how, like, she's like, what the hell is this? So, if you have anything else on Chud before I play this real quick?
No, you can flush this one down the toilet.
So you got, this is really weird what some industry people, do. And if y'all ever had any issue with anybody from the industry ever doing this to y'all, I don't care who it is, even if we've listened to their music before or not, we don't care. But listen to this. Like, this is something that's very inappropriate. And again, this is from Marine. Her show is called The Nerve. Check it out. But I'm going to play this right here for all of you.
Against you ever require you to hire a lawyer? Did her accusations against you ever require you to hire a lawyer?
Yeah. So she subpoenaed me, like she did with over 100 other journalists and content creators, to get access to my Google and my YouTube, my phone number, my credit card number, everything. So, yeah.
How did the subpoena, in America, they have to physically find you and put the subpoena in your hands and say, you have been served. How did that happen for you? And when?
So that's the thing. What they did was really sneaky. So what they did, they didn't subpoena me personally. They subpoena my Google accounts, my YouTube account.
What?
Yes.
They can do that?
Yes. So received a text message from Andy Signer over at Popcorn Planet saying, "Hey, have you been subpoenaed too?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" I was in Spain. I was like, and then I went through my emails and I was like, "Oh, there is an email from Google here, and it says like something about Blake Lively," and I was really confused. And he's like, "I've been trying to call her lawyer's office to see if this is actually real," and they got hold of them, and they said that no, they didn't know anything about it. And then after a while, they kind of admitted that it was real.
Her
And
lawyers said it wasn't real.
yeah,
then how much time elapses before they're forced to concede that it is real?
So one of the people working in the office of her lawyer's office said that we don't know anything about this. Andy actually did a video about it when he was calling them live to see how they responded. And of course, they used that against him afterwards, that he wasn't allowed to record them, whatever. But then I think it was maybe the next day or something that we realized it was real. So a lot of people probably never found out that their Google account was subpoenaed, because I heard later on that it took people a week or 2 weeks to realize that they were actually subpoenaed as well, because it didn't happen the traditional way. Some people like Andy and I think Candace Owens and Paris Hilton, they got like different subpoenas as well on top of that, like for their personal emails and phones and everything like that, so that they had to fight, which added again up. I mean, it's crazy.
Did her
So there you have. Sorry, guys. There you have it there, from the nerve. And y'all be careful out here, even media platforms, journalists, and commentators. Like the fact that Blake Lively and her team was doing that to people is so fucking disgusting.
Yeah, well,
Like people can't cover both sides of the stories, or commentators, even if they're leaning towards Justin and they feel that he's innocent. You know, as long as they're not saying anything that's can be proven to be a lie, for you to go out there and over 100. Blake Lively did this to over 100 journalists and commentators. And there were a lot of people that was claiming that this woman was an innocent person violated by the industry, even though WME backs her. Ryan Reynolds is her husband. Taylor Swift was backing her. So many people. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Like, how the hell is this even a thing for someone to be able to use their connections to get away with this and intimidate people in this way?
I think it's the same thing, of course, without the violence. But one could argue that, you know, there's intellectual violence here, suppressing speech, right? But it's no different in its energy, where we've seen the power of Diddy when he weaponized the New York Police Department, or, you know, where we're seeing celebrities, or we have seen celebrities, not even just in our era. I know people, you know, they're like, oh my God, things are getting so crazy. In the 70s, you've had, actually in the 80s and 90s, like if you go with a story that wasn't favorable, just say to somebody like Michael Jordan, like when he went to do baseball, there were journalists that said their careers were never the same after that. You know, they didn't even have the internet to be able to go and kind of plead their case to social media, maybe go to somebody's popular podcast and say, hey, this is what happened to me, right? So I think this is a great find seeing here concerning with Blake Lively, and actually shows you just how vicious, you know, and powerful her resources are. And I do believe
I have friends in Google. Yeah,
you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. No, that is true. You're going to be seeing a lot more of that. That's why I will say one of the things that, you know, Sid and I, we talked about from, you know, 2024, 25, and 26, you know, we've been seeing more and more people, whether they're in hip hop or just music industry in general, and even what you've seen recently with the most overt case here with Blake Lively and her defense, everything fell apart, right? But we have been seeing a lot of prominent people trying to use their power to suppress people online that are, to your point, just simply covering a story, you know, and people have been quietly, and of course, We've seen with Google. We heard what Mark Zuckerberg was saying to Elon Musk when he agreed with Musk saying, hey, if there are any non-favorable articles containing or pertaining to what it is that you're doing, he said, on my platform, you don't have to worry, Musk. I got your back. And we've seen that with Jeff Bezos. So one of the things in the telltale signs that goes on with an era of tyranny that is to come about is broadcasters and presenters of differing intellectual opinions will be suppressed. Yeah, dissenting voices will be suppressed.
They don't want independent voices doing their thing. And also, you just made me think of something else. Yeah, Blake Lively wanted to weaponize women and feminists, just like a lot of the liberal, progressive podcasters. They don't want to mention black people or race because they want to pick up on Nick's audience.
Yes.
They want to try to get some of the audience that voted for Trump. And if they have to sacrifice black people to do it, to have more unity, they and we see it. And we see it. Like, oh, anyone who says white nationalism, they're a psyop. What?
Well, those are the games. But see, we, as a society, hey, man, we've been working hard to get to this point. And yes, I do want to really touch on that right there, see what you're saying. And you and I, we've been covering this for a long time. And yes, you know, NDRE came out and she got at Joe Rogan's neck about the N-word, and then Spotify gave her a podcast or something like that, right? But you and I, like, we
gave her some change.
Yeah, we covered what we said. The people that are part of the Rogan sphere, at the time, it was the progressives. It was the white progressives that were tied into the Rogan sphere, and he was liberal friendly, right? At least that's how he's presenting. But now it's a new regime, so it's going to be a new atmosphere tied to Joe Rogan. But one of the things that people are still sacrificing, even with Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, look, a lot of the Democrats are thinking like influencers. They're thinking about traffic, they're thinking about audience, and even there's not even much of anything I agree with AOC on. But just even how they're narrating both women against each other, they're speaking about social media impact.
Yeah, Taylor saying more favorable things to Taylor is going to get you more clicks.
So,
but you don't even know if without even having her.
I know.
That's crazy. Like,
she's not even there.
Like, Rashida sacrificed.
Yeah.
There's some people who are a part of that whole group. Some of them have been playing ball with Israel, but there was some of them fiercely like, nah, we're not playing with Bibi at all. And she literally, Taylor Greene led the charge in getting rid of them. One woman, a Palestinian woman, right? A Somalian woman. Everyone who was fiercely against what Israel was doing with Gaza, she led the witch hunt against them. And no one is saying, oh, you should at least apologize. Like, you have to apologize to these people, because if you really are about not having AIPAC have complete control, well, then you can't just get up there and be in the front of the line and just talk about it. One of the first ways to prove it is having a real honest conversation. Like, imagine if she was literally, with Rashida and she apologized and they worked together to push the Free Palestine movement, like things that are genuine. It's interesting how people are trying to microwave this process and tell everybody who have an issue with Taylor Greene to shut up. Just like, again, they're trying to ignore the Epstein files when it clearly said the two groups they had an issue with the most were Palestinian people and black people.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a lie. And there's a lot of scamming going on, too, including MTV. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. It was a Freudian slip. But she is performing for the camera. And yes, the leftists, the progressives, the said good guys, they're the ones that are supposed to have honest discourse, but they're not interested in that. They're interested in influence and numbers. And I'm going to tell you guys this. Look. Y'all, a lot of these folks are scared. And I'll keep saying that anytime we're having to address any of these issues. I've seen some people online happen to be white, and the voting rights rollback VR8 situation had take place, and as usual, oh my God, I can't believe this. Can you imagine? Wow. Okay, and black folks, once again, we had to go take some L-theanine and go back on with our day, drink some chamomile tea, yoga, meditate, have some sex, do something to get back in the frame of, let me just go pay my rent. Let me go pay my mortgage. Because I will say this, a lot of progressives and a lot of liberal whites, they've been eating off the spoils of war of the 50s and 60s, and I can even go back further.
To add to your
Right.
point, I agree, because a lot of the people, a lot of the leaders, the first real organizers that were for the Free Palestine movement actually were people like Malcolm X and people in the Black Power movement, people just in a lot of black movements. It's interesting how now, fast forward to 2026, you see so many Trojan horses and people on the mic trying to tell black people what to do and split Palestinian people and black people, even though the Epstein files of some of the most vicious and powerful people in the world literally told you it from their own mouth that they are about harming Palestinians and black people. Those are the two groups that they're focusing on. And also, this is going to add to the video that you're about to play. I want to showcase the route where it's talking about a Louisiana resident who basically wanted to say what he felt about black voters being cheated when it comes to the right to vote. I want y'all to take a listen.
I have no doubt in my mind that the map's gonna pass. If y'all can give us less than 0 seats, you would do it. Y'all do this under the orders of somebody that said the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, that it caused reverse racism. RFK said that black children are overfilled on antidepressants and that they need to be reparented on different forms, all of them. Pete Hegseth constantly brings Doug Wilson to the Pentagon to give a prayer service. Doug Wilson is the same pastor that said that slave owners were on strong spiritual ground. I don't have no belief in no morality on anybody that followed Donald Trump. If you wasn't with this map, you wouldn't be underneath this president. You wouldn't be in your party. You would stand up, you would stand against it, you would speak out about it. So as far as I'm concerned, if you here as one of these Trump Republicans, you already showed us who you are. You showed us what you want to do. And I believe the country as a whole is rebuking your party. Y'all are in a death spiral. That's why y'all have to redistrict. That's why y'all have to cheat. That's why Trump got to go to Texas and say he entitled to 5 more seats. It's because y'all know what y'all doing is abhorrent. We letting our people die in Iran based on false pretense that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent say it ain't real. Y'all okay with all that. So I'm positive y'all gonna be okay with the maps. But the beautiful thing is, the children that y'all have made and the people that's younger than y'all don't support none of this racism that y'all want. The MAGA party is the last breath of the Confederacy. And I'll be happy to see millennials and Gen Z bury y'all. There will be no more of your party. The midterms gonna come, y'all gonna get wiped out. Trump gonna get dragged out of the White House, and I'm gonna love every second of it. Because y'all loved every second of the suffering that he caused to everybody in this country. And worldwide, we starve in Cuba. We bomb Nigeria. We hold in Zimbabwe and Zambia hostage for their minerals. We don't want to give them aid support. The pro-lifers that say all life is special, y'all letting kids die of AIDS. What part of your Bible say that? Point out the scripture. I think everybody would love to see it.
Yeah, I think everybody would love to see it. Point out the scripture where it says that.
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, like I said before, the brother very clear and distinct in what he said, and he was on fire. He was literally on fire, and realistically, ladies and gentlemen, when you see things like the reaction to the presidency of Barack Obama, again, I don't really feel Barack Obama did all that he could have done. My personal opinion. But I also knew, just like the late great Amos Wilson said, that what you're going to see after, if the day comes where a black president comes to power, you will see an attempt by dissenting party members and other members in the countering party. You're going to see a push for Jim Crow. Now, Dr. Amos Wilson, he's passed away, but he said this like back in 94, 95. You guys can check his works out. He's a black psychologist, and he was also diagnosing black children correctly. He was taking into account, what was going on.
Miss
right?
People like him.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely, and it's definitely for now. We got Dr. Umar, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. But what I will say is the sick joke. That's why you got to be careful. You have to look at globalists, documents and papers, because, on one hand, you're dealing with the immediate kickback, especially when you're a black person. You're seeing it right there. It's right up in our face, right? But on the other hand, you got to think about, is the game fixed like the NBA or the NFL, right? And you think about a sick joke like Barack Obama, and one of the things Amos Wilson talked about is that there would be a push after the president leaves, after the black president leaves. He didn't even factor in that, he would have a black wife or even dark-skinned wife and black children. So that sent everything up to hell times 12. But he did say that in 95, he said there would be a push for Jim Crowism and even reformation of the Republic and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to slavery.
And I feel people not championing him enough. I'm so glad you brought that up, because, Obama was just the face of imperialism.
Yes.
Anybody who, in any entity that doesn't want to give black people reparations or free Gaza, is a useful idiot to the same monsters that are in the Epstein files. Ghislaine Maxwell didn't care for black people, didn't care for the people of Gaza. Jeffrey Epstein, same thing. You even had young victims, little white girls who were violated, who said, yeah, they used to always say all these heinous things about black people, disgusting things about black people. I mean, you literally had in there, in the Epstein files, they was talking about violating black people. They were talking about taking black people resources. They were talking about resources need to be taken from black people in the Americas, in Africa, wherever black people are, because they are low IQ. They had people who were okay with hunting parties, allegations of hunting and killing black people for sport. Just like even what we saw, what happened to the people of Bosnia, where people actually did also went out and they allegedly paid money to have men, women, and children killed. Mm-hmm. They had to pay extra money if they wanted to kill and hunt and game hunt a child.
Like Hard Target.
Yes. You have some very wicked people involved in all of this stuff. Even come out that you had some people who were influencers and people who were told to even go after certain groups. They found out some of these people were Mossad agents because they wrote it in the book. I actually have to play this clip because this guy, he actually surprised because he said, you must have read the entire book, because I went to every interviewer and they never said this. And I'm very interested, Prince, in what you have to say about this, because this guy has been a part of the MAGA movement. He's been speaking against black people. He's been speaking against people of Gaza. And take a listen.
So I kind of couldn't believe it in the book. You let the cat out of the bag. You're actually a Mossad agent.
Oh, you are the first person on my media tour to actually either have read that far into the book or to mention it. I thought it would be the top story in every show.
This is serious. This is serious stuff, and most people, they're not as candid about this stuff.
I thought that maybe I had extended the statute of limitation, that they won't come after me at this point. Do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that actually is something that I discuss in the chapter on play, the importance of living your life with a playful mindset. Now you might say, how?
Now, why does he feel comfortable about coming out? Why does he feel comfortable about coming out? Because we have so many CIA agents also on podcasts who are comfortable saying, yo, I work for the CIA.
Yeah. So, and well, look, I'll just say, just to be honest with you, yeah, we do have a lot of the agents. I mean, the podcasters. A lot of them, they're plants. They do work. There's a lot of them that do have ties to Israel. I mean,
deep state intelligence agencies in the United States too. Even that guy and his name been floating around for a long time.
Oh yeah, Dean Blundell. Yes, absolutely. So,
well, Dean is the one. He's talking about how this guy who is a Mossad agent was speaking against Canada being too woke or liberal. This whole time he was a Mossad agent saying that.
Okay, yeah. So, you're talking about what is this? Gad Saad. It looks like here.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, right?
Yeah, he has been around for a while. I've seen him before. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Seen him. Yeah, he's been around for a minute.
Whole time. What do you think about that? That I remember some of he was elevated in the algorithm on X. I remember these were his talking points.
Yes.
People of Gaza are not victims. Palestinians are not victims. The things that they say to black people.
Yes.
Then he said he always would say things about black people not being that smart. And then he would have issues with liberalism or people who are supposed to be progressive in Canada. And he would cycle around those points as well. He was very positive towards Candace Owens. Now, of course, he's negative towards her. And the only thing reason I could think of, he's comfortable with saying he's Mossad because all these CIA agents are coming out saying, they work for the CIA. They're on podcasts. He's like, let me get on this too.
Also, they're trying to make them look cool and look sexy and all this other stuff. But, a lot of your big podcasts, anybody that's big in entertainment most of the time, especially if they're adjacent or parallel to politics, they're going to have government ties. They're going to have some sort of dark government ties. And, a lot of times, even you see a lot of them in progressive liberal media. This is why you're seeing them spinning people or their audience. They're trying to spin them towards the right. And, on the left and the right, look, they all are cool with Israel. So
and they all cool with crapping on black people.
Yeah, so that's why I said the movement is a little bit strange, and I would definitely pay attention to a lot of people that pop up, and with a lot of these rollback policies that they're doing right now, and even some of the philosophy they're espousing right now. Clearly they want to be in the need for slavery.
Well, yeah.
And even when they bringing up Doug Wilson, and we're talking about his connection to Pete Hegseth, Doug Wilson's view on race, racism, slavery in the Bible, and there's been a lot of expression about, how much slavery was great for the country.
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, and you even seen some. I'm glad you brought up that
Palantir.
But you even saw with some of the black stooges that were running for local offices, whether it was in North Carolina or South Carolina, how they were saying, well, really, the black family, had better stats under slavery. But then you go all the way to Silicon Valley, and someone that's considered a philosophical spiritual teacher for a lot of tech nerds, evil tech nerds, Curtis Yarvin, wrote in his papers about bringing back slavery and how it does wonders for the black family.
These people are all disgusting. And also, we have people making up stuff. I'm going to play a little bit of Al Sharpton, but we have someone who's on the ground. Billion, and Brandy King. The Black Caucus in California did not protect the black population, and they haven't protected the black population, and Gavin Newsom didn't either. And beyond California, around the entire country, they didn't do this.
Yes.
They could have protected black people's voting rights, but white liberals was gaslighting black people, saying, oh, it's not really an issue, buddying up, chumming it up with right-wing white people in the government and their stooges, right? Also, even when we're talking about the Heritage Foundation, where we cooked on them a while ago, y'all can check that out on the Patreon. Yeah. So the reason why this is really important, because a lot of the black boule people who claim to be for us, every time we, as podcasters, as activists, or whatever category you are in, told them, like, bro, y'all being too chummy with the Democrat establishment. You're not saving us. Y'all trying to save other groups of people, but do you understand that Asian people, Hispanic people, gay people, all these groups, they only are protected in the United States because of the Civil Rights Bill that Charlie Kirk was advocating to dismantle, and what Trump said the new Attorney General is going to go after. And you know what the Boule Birds did? The Black Caucus did a hush. They shushed everybody up. They told everybody to shut up, get in the back of the fucking bus.
Yeah.
We have some holidays, Juneteenth. We have things like that. Stop complaining. But it's like, bro, for the United States, black people are the foundation of civil rights that help everybody. If you don't protect what black people have built, then that means other groups of people are going to crumble too. But we're going to crumble as well. And now you have Hakeem Jeffrey crying, saying that the Black Caucus may not even exist. Yeah, no, duh, dummy.
Yeah, well, and I'm glad that you brought it up. And shouts out to the wonderful Billion godson and Brandy King. And there's just a lot going on, honestly. And Sid and I, and you guys that happen to be there in the chat, it was an abrupt stream, and, you know, we did make phone calls. We actually called in as well, and we're not even citizens of Crenshaw, you know. And mind you, though, there were other people that are on YouTube you guys can follow. They live in Crenshaw. They've been covering the story for a long time. Yeah. But Sid and I, you know, we just said
we're nomads. We help we help black people anywhere.
Just think of us as two Highlander niggas. All right. But I did see how disgusting the Black Caucus moved. And actually, one of the Black Caucus members, I guess they went on Twitter and they blocked us. It was the one that looked like a tan Fat Joe. And, you know, I said to myself, you know what? There's a lot of time being wasted here. Because, as, you know, my mother would say, and old folks that I grew up with in the South, they always told me, never underestimate the determination and the ambition of white supremacists. If it can take them 200 years, they will do it.
And we said
if
that
it takes them 70 years.
People got mad because we said, look, Joe Biden is a racist. He said in front of Charlemagne's patchy face, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And he didn't even look. There was
no respect there.
He didn't do anything. A lot of this stuff.
Grandstanding.
Yeah.
A lot of grandstanding and time wasting.
One thing Charles Murray said that was correct, because you can even get great information from racists. He said when he was talking to Tucker Carlson, he said liberals and conservatives in these think tanks, they usually think alike. We both think black people are low IQ. It's just that liberals feel like black people can be brought up, and more of the right-wing whites feel like, in the think tanks, feel like black people need to be removed to another country or have limited rights. And he was very cheesy about it because he said he knows his people. And that's the conversation he was having with Tucker Carlson years ago. He said that, he also co-wrote the Bell Curve with a Zionist. He co-wrote the Bell Curve. And he's been putting out propaganda against black people's intelligence for a very long time. And remember, people like Joe Rogan and Alex Jones also promoted the Bell Curve. And this is a book, when it first dropped, it removed a lot of resources from black children in schools and different things like that. So it's very interesting to see how, once again, now in the truth movement, that is pretty much built on the backs of black people, has now also been hijacked by these so-called truth tellers, but you're too afraid to talk about things that deal with black people. When in the Epstein files, once again, they said the two groups they're going to be targeting the most were Palestinian people and black people.
They've been targeting a lot of these people online that are refusing to say anything with cash and promises that they'll be able to be positioned next to power. Remember now, Charles Murray made his run also with the Joe Rogan podcast. He had his conversations with Tucker Carlson, and usually in that space where you can bring this granddaddy, old, ancient, dust heads philosophy, and you can bring them to new children, new young white men that are insecure, young, scary white girls, scary, insecure black folks who have problems with their own skin complexion. And every talking point that they have is always against black people. But they masquerade it as in, I don't see color, or all of the little Myron Gaines stuff that people try to be cute. And a lot of people, they're making these moves out of being a coward because realistically, they don't want to have to live with the idea that I may have to fight for my own dignity and humanity. They would rather just say, you know what, put it in their mouth. And please, how long do you got to keep it in, right? And that's what you're seeing right now. So, look, if you've been journeying with Sin and I on Thought Crimes, you guys know, a lot of times we didn't always go for the most popular stories. I know we had a lot of people like, oh my God, you guys could have been so much bigger, like on the Breakfast Club. All right, not interested. But it's because Sid and I have a history of reading and remembering and paying attention to the same things that they do every decade, every generation, and every era within a generation. So there are a lot of people right now, and I told you guys several times, I says, look, the racist whites are always going to be upfront with it. The racist Grand Dragon parties are always going to be upfront with it. I tell you guys, pay attention to your white liberals and scary white progressives. They always turn or they betray everybody else at the right moment.
And they don't understand you're doing the same thing. It's going to keep coming back. So in the New Deal with FDR, if it would have stood by black people and it would have been for everybody, then we wouldn't have had to, once again, fight for equality over and over again. It keeps coming back, and you're so fucking dumb. Eminent domain. You want to get rid of it? Pay attention to the Epstein files. If they tell you they put their most evil plans and they work it through Palestinian people, the people of Gaza, and they work it through black people before they start expanding it, then when are you going to get it through your fucking brain that you can't drop the ball on either?
You can't, you all, and you can't Tootsie slide your way out of this one. I'm just being honest with you all. And look, realistically, Pete Hegseth, and this is just one of his pastors. I've seen 3 of Pete Hegseth's pastors, and it's definitely some Django shit. And even right now, you're having a lot of the Democrats and the progressives, they're all coming out and they're saying, wag our fingers, waggy wag, don't say anything. And you know what? I tell everybody all the time, just get things ready for yourself and your family, because if you have this stuff sitting in the office, remember now, they question, you see the hypocrisy here, Sam. The man is on stage with the Department of War General. The guy has been all over YouTube and podcasts talking about slavery, putting basically black people back in slavery, the black family, talking about stripping women of all of their rights and, need to go back to not having a bank account and all of this silly stuff, right? Right there in front of the world. Not really overtly questioned like they even did Barack Obama. It became a whole national talking point. Was he a Muslim or not?
Well,
remember, it was a whole talking point everywhere. His middle name is Hussein.
I'm tired of being on a team with slow people. You see how Tommy Dorfman is focused?
Very
Live
focused.
Nation, Live Nation,
Yeah.
Ticketmaster, Live Nation, Ticketmaster, Live Nation. You saw how the states, the people were organized where they're like, forget the Department of Justice, man. We're suing. Hey, break this stuff up with live. We need, again, sharp shooters. I also want to bring up Dre in this. She's talking about the UK digital ID. Shout out to the people in the UK that listen to our show. And she said, have you ever heard of the U.S. Cloud Act? Well, I'm going to play this for y'all real quick. It's only a minute and 46 seconds. And we're going to close out the show on this conversation.
You must have really, truly, royally fucked up. Which brings us now to January of 2026. And you've got the government announcing a U-turn from all of the backlash. And Starmer says that the digital ID for the UK will now be optional. All the newspapers say that the people won and they fought the good fight and the petitions worked and this is democracy in action. The government listened. We are victorious. And I'm so sorry to tell you this, but it's not, you're not. This rollback, it's bullshit. It's not a rollback. Okay, so here's the subtext of this rollback, because here's what didn't change. Employers are still going to require a digital version of the right to work check, which means that if you want to work in the UK, then you need to be in the government's system. The gov.uk wallet is still coming. It is still rolling out. The National Data Library is still being built. NHS records, education records, economic data, all of that combined in one database in Oracle system. And they're calling it a sovereign cloud because it sounds safe, right? UK data is just staying in the UK jurisdiction, right? Right? It's not leaving the jurisdiction, right? Yeah, about that. See, that's tough because Oracle controls the infrastructure, right? And Oracle employees are the one who administer the system. And Oracle is an American company, which means that it's subject to the U.S. Cloud Act, which means that the U.S. government can demand access to data stored by any American companies, even if that data is overseas, at any time for any reason. So whatever contracts Oracle has signed saying that, yeah, their data stays safe, it stays over there, that is usurped by the U.S. Cloud Act. And I don't know how many people know that. You must have really...
So there you go.
Well...
And thank you for that information to further remind people, too, about that, because sometimes people do forget about it because a lot of different things are happening all at once.
Yeah,
AI data centers and so much is happening all at once, Prince, and it's also difficult. It's difficult to keep up with all this stuff because when all this information was moving slow, Prince and I have spent 9 years talking about this stuff. And of course, like what even Prince bringing up so many great philosophers and people who are ahead of their time that are now dead, that warned everybody about all of this shit. And we spent 9 years slowly talking about it, making documentaries about this stuff, doing live shows about this stuff in between our hip hop and comedy stuff. And now the dam is broken and it's all hitting all at once. And even our audience, like, talk about this, talk about that. I'm like, it's all over the place because now all of the truth is out all at once, 100 bad things at one time. But it's like 9 years ago, these things were already mapped out. We already took our time talking about all these things. So we definitely going to be resharing our old videos. And I'm not saying we're going to stop talking about it, but like, how do you, like, it's all out at once right now, even though for years we've been talking about these very things. We talked about 23andMe. They was going to harvest and collect people's data and information when it comes to their DNA. Basically doing what they did to Henrietta Lacks, but with your permission. There's just so many things happening at once.
The reason why that's happening, ladies and gentlemen, is what you're really witnessing in real live cinema, like in beautiful film. You're witnessing a coup everywhere. That's what you're witnessing. So if people understand, they're like, man, what's going on? Why is everything, it's too much? And yes, we do have a lot of people that get at us, like they'll say, hey, can y'all cover this? Can we please, like, can we get either you or Sin to just say something on this?
And we fuck with y'all.
And we try. We don't get upset or nothing, but
there's a lot.
There's a lot of times, like Sin and I just was covering a lot of this stuff 24/7. That's why I said, you know, when people, like, they're bringing up numbers and views, clearly if we cared about views like that, as far as, you know, placating to that, it's not hard to do, to be honest with you. It's just really not hard to do. And if you have real skill and talent, you can beat everybody else that's just playing around with it, right? But the other side of it is this, folks. We still deal with the real world. There's things we cover, and a lot of times we like to have fun with y'all. That's why we always say, y'all, when we're in cotton candy land, I'm not trying to be too serious about it, because you still got to deal with the Supreme Court. You still got to deal with what's going on with, more than likely, how they even talking in some states, the 14th Amendment. You know, so there are things that are on the table where, you know, one of the things about, let me cut my thought off for a second, because there's a bunch of stuff happening right now. But Sid and I, we like sci-fi heads. We actually like and love a lot of sci-fi films from the late 80s and 90s, and even some of them from the 70s. But we're really big on sci-fi. One of the things that was always at least prophetically laid out in scripts, and look at Escape from New York. The states were broken up into damn near their own little countries and territories, and New York was supposed to be the prison of these territories, because they want to revert back after, and interestingly enough, of 250 years. Remember now, Virginia, shouts out to y'all out there, but you guys know right now, you guys are going through, you know, your 250th anniversary, Jamestown, and all of this wonderful stuff, right? But it's interesting, a lot of these people, like when they're talking about, you know, the pastor Wilson, and he wants to bring back slavery, or Curtis Yarvin, or what Peter Thiel has talked about, and even the fascinating moving the ball around of Elon Musk, where he's really obsessed with bringing apartheid to America and breaking up the states. And it's not just under Trump. Remember, under Barack Obama, they wanted to do the Viper team, or they wanted to do that under Bush Jr., but Bush Jr. was so dislikable that they said they'll run the test phase of it under Barack Obama. That Viper team only later becomes what we know as ICE today. So a lot of these things are already put in white papers, and what they do is they roll them out in policies and sometimes these big bills. But what I am saying is that, look, the way it's rolling right now, like a classic sci-fi film from the 80s, you're going to have states that are completely doing the red thing. They blooding it up. They putting it on Pyru, and they're going to be doing things to disenfranchise their minority base or their minority citizens. And then you're going to have some of the states that are left that are going to be like the blue states that people are going to try to escape to. And that's really where things are going right now.
Well, that's why the Mossad agent didn't want people to escape to Canada.
Yeah.
And he wanted Canada to have the same issues that the United States. And he, whole time, was a Mossad agent. He was crapping on Canada every day. He was a Mossad agent the entire fucking time.
Well, they put their proxy groups already in Canada, you know. So, yes, you're right about that. And some of these people, they're so twisted that they say, no, you don't want you to head out to Canada or anywhere for that matter. Because, I mean, remember now, America is like very powerful, y'all. It can still cause pain everywhere, damn near. So you are looking at that scenario because some of the smarter politicians are strengthening their local governorship right now because they're saying, look, I've even seen them online. They're saying, look, the Democrats don't really have an identity other than halfway saying that they're anti-Trump while taking on the mindset of Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur. And there's a lot of people, Hassan Piker. For me, when I look at them, they just like three regular racist white people, or maybe one light skin and one, I don't know what he is.
What makes Tucker Carlson very sophisticated because Israel, pro-Israel people are already talking about anti-whiteness.
Yes,
and he also made sure that anti-whiteness is comfortable to talk about with progressives, but both sides is uncomfortable to talk about blackness.
People. Yeah, because with the
very
progressives,
weird.
This is where they shift, where they're like, the trans woman, pro-black, black girl magic thing, dead little black boy children. I think it's dead now. We can move on. Let's talk about anti-whiteness. Well, during that era, I was a supporter, but I was met with so much anti-whiteness.
Right, and instead of focusing, again, anti-blackness, and you got black people who face racism all the time, but Chris Smalls is focusing on the, classism movement, and you also have a black farmer, association leader, John Boyd Jr., he's very focused on talking about, look, what Bill Gates is doing is dangerous to everybody. Even though white people literally in this country help sabotage one of the core powers and hearts of the truth movement, which is black people. Now you got Al Sharpton and the rest of them up there that, a lot of black people don't even like because we know they're charlatans. But at the same time, a lot of fake white truth tellers, other minority groups, and all of those other people, you try to play Game of Thrones with black people to compete with black people against black people for resources, even while the government was slanted against them as a collective. And what did it bring you? Nothing. Now people getting chips in their asses. People gonna get chips in their heads. People are losing their home because of AI data centers and eminent domain. So all this Game of Thrones for what? So that's what you got to think about. Know who your true enemy is and the people who are really trying to go after you instead of targeting the wrong people.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm glad that you brought that up. I would pay attention to how a lot of these people are moving. There's even, I'm not going to say it now, but Sin knows what I'm talking about. There's even certain contracting deals that were celebrated publicly, but those are all planned.
Yes.
Removal, period. So.
And it's just like Order 66.
Yeah, it's just, they just.
People are falling. People, the Republic is falling. People fell for these Palpatines. And you got people who all are egotistical. I'm the chosen one. Well, great. Y'all can all be Anakins.
Yeah.
And go and do what y'all going to do, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people.
A bunch of Judases.
Yeah, a lot of people that foot tapped over the years that didn't want to talk about real issues. We've seen it with, 2024. Even in, our space, as black folks, like celebrity is too many celebrities, too many black celebrities have too much to say when it comes to election cycles, especially on the federal level. On the federal level, like you can literally have somebody that is on the grassroots level and they have been able to build a nice sizable campaign. And, people can put a battery in the back of, I don't know, Terry Crews or Kevin Hart and send them to the local communities to get something pushed across, and it's a complicated dynamic. On one hand, I see a lot of great things, and I've seen a lot of great things growing up that Killer Mike has done in Adamsville, the community, Fulton County. But then on the other hand, I felt there was too much friendly banter with Governor Kemp, and I didn't even like, the previous sitting mayor's dynamics when she spoke about, there was outsiders coming into the city tearing things up, and she was talking about calling in the army or Governor Kemp is backing me up, and we're not playing games. And these are
What do you think about
black American citizens. So now, just to say this real quick, like Killer Mike is in this weird position where now people are calling him to task, and he's having to have transparency in his conversations only because of where things have slid at this point in time. Like,
what is he supposed to do in your opinion? I mean, like, yeah, he supported Keisha Bottoms. She didn't do enough to protect black people of Atlanta. She actually scapegoated black people.
She did, yes.
Like you said, with the things, and then T.I. said, this is Wakanda.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, Bernie Sanders was a punk. He didn't want to speak on reparations. He said everybody's issue is important, but we're not messing with reparations. So, and then you have the Republican governor of Georgia. He has tried to go to certain people. He's been on both sides of the aisle with the Republicans and the
and I've seen
the Democrats, and they all been stalling. Like, nobody wants to really.
They don't want to move. They really don't want to move
behind people who are really, really, truly a grassroots situation.
I feel like this. I'm open to seeing what people do. I do see a lot of folks complaining about Killer Mike, and I do know for a fact they haven't done what he's done in the community. But even when I look at it, he's just one rapper, though, at the end of the day. And I would say, the only thing I would say is that being aware outside of your bubble, like what are people on the West End that are struggling? Like, how has your relationship affected them, and where do certain politicians feel more comfortable making certain moves because they're cool with you publicly, and they know that you, as a black leader or one of the many black leaders of the community, you have some clout and sway. So I always do feel, even entertainers that, again, I don't prefer them to be at the forefront of much of anything, but even the ones that feel like I do want to get involved or I do want to touch down on things, I just think a lot of times they have to be mindful of influence. And then on the other side of it,
too docile with Bernie Sanders.
I didn't like nothing about. I said when we met, she knows me. I didn't like nothing about Bernie Sanders because I had lived in Austin, Texas. It's a bunch of Bernieisms out there. It's
Even
a
though
bunch
he's
of
from Vermont, I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, I know he's from Vermont, but I'm just saying the energy.
No, that's what I'm saying. The energy, you got the same type of energy, yeah.
It's the same thing out there with those particular type of folks, and I ran into a lot of. One thing you'll find out when of course, you guys know as black folks, and we got other folks that listen to as well, so shouts out to them. But as you're dealing as a black voter, you're talking to the pro-LGBTQ community, the pro-Palestinian community, the pro-Israel anti-Semitic community. You can talk to damn near any representation through non-profit organizations of these people, ACLUs. Sin has dealt with them before, right? But you can always still run into like overt or passive racism or micro racism in how they process who should have human rights and which issues are important.
I've seen it in all the liberal movements, and also we appreciate y'all guys. This is important news and important things to talk about. Of course, we're going to have still some hip hop fun and conversations. On May 15th, we will be having the listening session to Iceman, and as we did with GNX in the fall off. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. But I will say this, though. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Patreon. And, again, we have a morning show, 7 a.m. from Monday through Thursday. Peace.
All right, you all. We up out of here. We're going to be ending off on California Tuesday. You guys take care. Peace.
I got some problems. I got some problems. I got some problems. Yeah. I got some problems. I got some problems. I got some problems. Yeah. I got some problems. I got some problems. I got some problems. Yeah. Goddesses be taking me hostage on odysseys. Pardon me, I got a little bit plastic, faster than normal. Call it a ting. Hopefully this liquor will warn you. First, let me warn you. I got a problem with ignorance. Tis why I'll burn the bridge or just swim. If it's me versus them, it's gonna be them. Cause I've learned enough to know how to win. Pride highs, the tide rise. Trying to reach Pacific Rim. What lies beneath the lines then? Is a devil that lurks in sheepskin. Who show more teeth than a wolf grin. Still got cold feet or you gon' dive in. Life's a movie, drive in. Drop top, let's begin. It could be me and you, or me, you and your friends. Now we up in the Ritz. Started off at the Days Inn steak, cheese, eggs, and grits. Some like for Tuesday, slim black sweats with some gray Timbs. Raider hoodie, Marshawn Lynch. You got an alienated, the alienation. And if it's War of the Worlds, call me Vader Zim. Got an alienated, the alienation. And if it's the War of the Worlds, call me Vader Zim. Cause goddesses be taking me hostage on odysseys. Pardon me, I got a little bit plastic, faster than normal. Call it a tick, hopefully this liquor will warm you. First let me warn you, I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with nigga sis. I got a problem with all of that coming that swans us. Like we all just content being nigga rich. Motherfucking Wakanda ain't no fictional construct enough to uplift my physical conduct. When it still ain't fixed to do the water up and flood. My nigga, I got a problem. Yeah, yeah. I got a problem. Yeah, yeah. I got some problem. Yeah, yeah. I got a problem. Yeah, yeah. On odysseys, pardon me, I got a little bit plastic, faster than normal. Call it a tick, hopefully this liquor will warm you. First let me warn you, I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with ignorance. I got a problem with nigga sis. I got a problem with all of that coming that swans us. Like we all just content being nigga rich. Motherfucking Wakanda ain't no fictional construct enough to uplift my physical conduct. When it still ain't fixed to do the water up and flood. My nigga, I got a problem. Yeah, yeah. I got a problem. Yeah, yeah. I got some problem. Yeah, yeah. I got a problem. Yeah, yeah.
You shouldn't turn your back on me. Is that a challenge?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
White folks are nosy. They have specials. Nosy specials. Why does a bee make honey? You ain't a bee. Why do you give a fuck?
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
If he dies, he dies.
Go to our Patreon for more. And don't bother me.